Hi everyone, my name's Oakenfull and I'm back for another deconstruction. Before we get into the deconstruction, let's look at a few Kylie facts. So it's written and produced by Rob Davis and Kathy Dennis. And there's a picture of Rob Davis when he was in his glam rock days in the 70s with the group Mud. And there's Kathy Dennis as well. Both have written so many tracks. Kathy Dennis, Toxic, for example, by Britney, very prolific writers. So lead vocal, obviously by Kylie, the fantastic Kylie. It was recorded in Rob Davis's studio in Surrey in England, and we'll have a look at that in a minute. Came out on the 8th of September 2001 and was released on the label Parlophone. It was from her massive album, the Fever LP, also came out in 2001. And style-wise, as you can probably hear, it's like dance pop, techno pop, there's a new disco vibe to it. Performance-wise, it did incredibly well. It was #1 in 40 countries worldwide and sold over 5 million copies and still remains an incredibly popular track. Composition-wise, there's a couple of interesting features. It's got some quite jazzy chords, which we'll have a look at in a minute, and a diminished 7th chord, which I've heard Rob Davis say he was particularly proud of. There's also a really interesting production feature in that the track was pretty much entirely made with a Korg Triton workstation. And there we go, let's have a look at one now. That's the workstation. It was used a lot in the 2000s. NERD and Pharrell was a big fan. There's a video actually you can see out there with all the tracks that use the Korg Triton. There's also now a plug-in version, which Korg have released, which I'm going to be using. So that's well worth checking out, and all the sounds, all the sound banks, they're all there to check out. And there's an interesting story in that I actually performed with Kylie on Top of the Pops. I got a call from the tour manager at the time. He said, "Are you free next week to do this new track by Kylie?" And there's me standing at the back of Top of the Pops. We did a few other shows as well. I got to go to the US and do Jay Leno's show and Saturday Night Live. But here's a little clip of me on Top of the Pops performing with Kylie. There we go, that was a mini Moog I was playing there. Oh yes, and here's Rob's studio. So there's a bit of a grainy picture. This is taken from a Sound on Sound article. So yeah, what have we got here? We've got a nice Mackie 32 channel desk. I had one of those once. You can see the Triton workstation. Looks like he's got a rack version of the Triton as well. And a Roland Juno 106 and an air conditioner. Essential in a home studio, I would say. Okay, so let's get into the deconstruction. So what have I got here? Well, we've got Ableton Live 12 Suite. We've got a Push 3. This is actually the standalone version, although I'm using it as a controller at the moment. And we've also got a Native Instruments Complete Control M32. So this is everything I'm going to be using to do this deconstruction. So what I've done is I've preloaded some sounds on some different tracks in Ableton Live. We're in session view at the moment. So we've got, on our first track, we've got some drums. So we've got a kick drum, hi-hats. This is the same closed hi-hat, but just at different volume levels. An open hi-hat, snare, and a clap sound. So we're going to start off with the drums, and then we're going to move through the different sounds and start building it up. Okay, so tempo-wise, we're at 126 BPM. So I've got the metronome on here. We're just going to record a 2-bar loop to start with. It's worth mentioning that I've got record quantize on, which is putting everything in time to me to 16ths. Okay, so let's keep going. Let's add some hi-hats. and some snare. And clap. So there we go, we've got our first 2-bar loop. Just open that up so you can see what's happening. Okay, so I'm now going to duplicate that clip down to the different scenes. So we're going to create 8 different scenes here, and that's going to build up our arrangement. So I'm going to just duplicate that clip down to all those subsequent clips. And then we're just going to do a couple of changes. So for the 5th scene, this one here, I'm going to double that loop twice to make it an 8-bar loop. And I'm going to just remove the kick drum from the last bar. There we go. Turn that back into an 8-bar loop. And then for the 7th scene, this one here, I'm going to just take out the hi-hats. There we go, and then double that to make it a 4-bar loop, and then just take out the kick from the last bar, turn it back into a 4-bar loop, so we have this. It will all start making sense as we get through the arrangement. Okay, so the next element is the bass line, and before we get into that, I'm going to look at a bit of music theory. So I'm going to bring up my keyboard here. Okay. And also bring up some chords as well. Okay, so one of the first things I like to look at with these deconstructions is to figure out the key signature. And the key signature will dictate what notes are being played in the track, and we can define the chords as well, based on the degrees of the scale. So this is in D minor, and if I just play the standard D minor scale, it's this. So it's got quite a sad sound compared to a major, which would be this. So we've got one flat here, which is this B flat. So this is on the 6th degree, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But actually sometimes there are notes that are being played outside of the scale. Most notably, sometimes it goes to a B natural. So that makes it a Dorian, a D Dorian. So chords-wise, there are 2 main sections here. The first section is a D minor 7, which is based on the 1st degree of the scale, the tonic. And then we have an A minor 9 as well. So this is where we've got a note that comes outside of the scale. It goes to the B, natural there, and that's the 5 chord. So that's the main section, crux of the track. And then we go to this section where we go to a B major 7. That's the 6th chord. And then an A major, which is the 5 chord. And then we go this one, this is the classic chord. So that's an A flat diminished 7. Then we go back to the A chord again, and then a G minor 7, 4 chord, and then back to an A sus4, which is the 5 chord. So cool, so now we know the chords, we can start building up the musical elements of the track, and we're going to start off with the bass line. I mentioned before that the track was mainly used using a Korg Triton. Well, here we go, here's the plug-in version. You can see it there, and this is the sound we're going to be using to start with. It's an M1 organ. So an M1 was a classic keyboard, came before the Triton, so there's a lot of the original M1 sounds are actually included in the Triton, and this is a very classic sound. It's used on so many tracks, this kind of organ bass sound. You may recognize it from this. Recognize that? Okay, so we're going to put this in, and we're going to start off with that first sequence, which was basically going from the D minor 7 to the A minor 9, and it's going to be all on the offbeat. So let's record it in. There we go. So I'm going to duplicate that down to the first 4 scenes, and also to the 6th scene, and also to the 8th scene as well. We're going to put in a different bass line to coincide with the other sequence as well. So on the 5th scene, we're going to do that other sequence. So let's record that in. Great, and then on the 7th scene, just a slight variation of that. There we go. So we're starting to build up the arrangement now, as you can see, bit of a sort of jigsaw puzzle. Before we get on to the next sound, I'm actually going to boost up that bass sound with another bass sound underneath. And for this, I'm just using a sound that I created using the analog device, the Ableton analog device. And what I've got on this track here is I've taken the monitor in and the MIDI in from the bass line that I've just recorded. So if we just play that, I'm just going to mute the drums and I'll just unmute that track. There we go. So you can kind of hear that underneath it. It kind of really boosts it and gives it some more bottom end. That's on its own. So it's a great feature of Ableton Live is that you don't have to create a brand new clip. You can just take the MIDI input from another track and it will mirror it. Okay, so we're going to go on to the next sound now. And for this, I was trying to find the equivalent sound on the chord Triton. I couldn't quite find it, so I ended up using an old favorite of mine, which is the Tal Uno LX. Which is a version of the Juno 60. And let's just play that. So as you can hear, there's some echo and some delay on that track. So you can see here I've got the echo. If I play it without it, and then put it on. Okay, so let's record that part in. So you can see it's outlining those chords with an arpeggio. That's the D minor 7 and then the A minor. Okay, so I'm going to duplicate that now down to the 4th scene and also to the 8th scene as well. Great. Okay, so we're getting through the track. The next part to put down is the Wurlitzer, the whirly sound. And this is another sound that we've got from the Triton. I'm pretty sure this is the original sound. Okay, so this is another arpeggiated version of the chord. So let's record this in. And we're going to start off on the 3rd scene down. Okay, so I'm going to duplicate that down to the 6th scene and the 7th scene and the 8th scene. And just where I've duplicated that down to the 7th scene, I'm just going to remove the second part of that. So we have this. Okay, so we're now going to go to that other chord sequence. Let me just remind you of it. It's here. So B flat major 7, A flat diminished 7, A, G minor 7, A sus 4. So let's record that in. In fact, I'll leave that there. There we go. Okay, so we're building up the track. We've got one more part to put in, and that's the strings. So again, we can use a cool Triton string sound. There we go, we're using legato strings. Beautiful. So let's record these string parts in. Here we go. So we're still on the 5th scene here. Okay, and on the 6th scene, we're going to record another part. And finally on the 7th scene. Okay, so we've recorded in all the main elements. What I'm going to do now is try to play this back as a track. But before we do that, there's a few things I want to talk about. So on this track here, you can see that it says sounds and effects. I'm going to put the monitor on so we can just play those. And we've got a few sounds here. So I've actually kind of created a chain so we can have some different sounds. We've got this sort of funky sound, which is going on in the background. We've got a crash sound and this effect sound as well. So let's just have a look at how I created those. So you can see the different aspects here. So first of all, for this sound, this is a Triton sound again. I've based this on the preset, which is the 2 VCO Planet Lead. Not sure if exactly that was the one, but Rob Davis, if you're watching this, you could let me know. I'm using a crash from the Triton as well. Let's just have a look at that. There we go, that's the house kit. And then this sound here, I just, for the life of me, couldn't find where that sound was from. So I ended up actually kind of extracting it from the original and just looping it. There we go. If I just open that here, you can see what it looks like. And I've got warp on there, so I can play it at different pitches and it won't change. Okay, so there are the sounds. So I'm going to play those along, but one of the most important aspects of these deconstructions is the vocal. How can we do this without the vocal? So there's a number of ways that I approach this when looking for a vocal. Sometimes you can find it on YouTube. The artist or the producer may actually make the a cappella available. We, of course, now have stem splitting, which is incredible, where you can actually extract the vocal yourself. But I thought, let's completely bypass that and actually find someone to sing this. So I was very lucky to get my good friend Valerie Etienne to come in and record a vocal. So what I've done is I've actually split that recording into the different sections and added them to these clips here. So I'm just going to open them up there. And let's just drag this to the start so we can see what's going on. So let's just have a little listen, shall we, of how that sounded. I basically added some delay. You out of my head, boy, you're loving. So we've got these, there are two tracks. We've got the lead vocal and then the BVs, and they're both being sent to a delay track, which is on return 2. Can't get you out of my head, boy. And you can see that I've got a compressor coming after the echo, and that's going to take an input from Valerie's vocal there. Can't get you out of my head, boy. So it means it will just open up when she finishes singing, basically. So it will act like a kind of tail to her vocal. Can't get you out of my head, boy. Great. And yeah, I've also, on this kind of group channel here, I'm sending to a reverb. I've just got a standard Ableton reverb here. Cool. So I think we can now listen to the whole track in context. A bit of performance. So I'm going to be playing along with these sounds and playing her vocal as well. There we go. Had a little jam at the end, couldn't resist that. But I hope you enjoyed that deconstruction as much as I did. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you to Valerie Etienne for her fantastic vocals. Thank you to Rob Davis and Kathy Dennis for writing such a brilliant track. And of course, Kylie Minogue for just being Kylie Minogue and singing such a wonderful vocal. So please don't forget to comment down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts, any requests for new deconstructions. And of course, if you want any more tutorials like this, please head over to pointblankmusicschool.com to check out all our amazing courses.